Welcome to the Weekly Mag. Prepare for a show of education and myths. The social entrepreneur Usman Umar tells us about his book Viatge al País dels Blancs and explains his educational projects in Ghana. We'll interview and listen to the music of Núria Moliner, architect, TV presenter and leader of the band Intana. And today we have a mythological guesswork with the god of quizzes, Sergi Cervera, plus tips, comedy, reports and much more on the Weekly Mag, your show in English, hosted by Marcela Topor.
Hello, how's it going? So are you ready to practice some English and have some good time today? Let's get the Weekly Mag started. And we begin with words and facts today delivered by our usual collaborators, Matthew Tree, Nadia Gremüller and Marius Serra. Welcome all.
Hi there.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hello. Well, Marius, last week you made us laugh with some funny names. So well, you set the standard quite high. Right?
Absolutely.
So this week, are you going to come up with something funny as well?
I can't promise to be so funny, but it will be more useful. Because we are going to talk about using language to remember things. That's it. For instance,
That's good.
if you try to cook rice, just imagine, and you don't know the exact proportions, you can remember it by a simple rhyme. Cooking rice, waters twice, so that if you take a cup of rice, you'll need 2 cups of water, not the other way around. So,
Except if it's long grain rice, it should be
My
cooking rice, twice and a half, waters twice and a half.
twice and a half. It doesn't rhyme.
It gets complicated.
Yeah.
You have not no
Sorry,
rhyme.
sorry,
about that.
Marius, I didn't.
So we'll talk about mnemonic. This is called mnemonic formula, using some verbal thing to remember useful things.
Very useful indeed. Well, let's remind our viewers to stay tuned as well for the solution of last week's guess word. And today, Marius, as usual, I hope you're bringing us another one.
Of course, I will. I don't deceive you.
Well, and Nadia is back as well with more help for our viewers. Well, I'm sure that Catalans are thankful for your flirting tips, that you gave them last time. What tips, any tips this week?
Well, yes, you will see a tip at the end of the video, but I don't want to tell you what it is. It's to men specifically. So this week I went to Salo and I asked people about pet peeves.
Pet peeves.
Yes.
A few weeks ago, actually, you asked people about what makes them cringe. I still remember that fork that you on that bottle or plate. It was, I think. So that made us all cringe.
We all remember.
I
Yes,
think.
we all remember it, yeah.
So, what's the difference between pet peeves and cringe?
Well, I would say cringing is something more visceral, so it's something that you can feel in your body, like, your hair stands up, like the sounds that you heard.
Right.
Versus pet peeves is more something that, bothers people or annoys people, but it doesn't have to have a physical reaction necessarily. It could, but I think it's more general.
Okay, so you asked the people in Salo this time about their pet peeves, and what was the result?
Well, I mean, it wasn't as easy as I thought, as you will see in the clip. Have a look.
Okay.
Do you have any pet peeves?
Pet peeve. Pet pieces or pet peas? Peeve or...
Pet peeve.
Do you really understand what you're saying? Pets are dogs, cats. Yeah? Of course. And beef.
No, not beef. Peeves. Pet peeves.
Peeves. This is the part where I translate it.
Well, I think this guy learned a new expression.
Not
that
just
day,
him.
right?
Everybody
Really?
I asked, even native speakers did not know the word.
Even native
Even native
English
speakers.
speakers?
I was shocked actually, because I remember learning it in school. And people from the UK, what is that? I'm like, it's your language.
Yeah. So, Matthew, why do you think that is?
Because it's American. It's American English, pet peeves. It's
Okay.
a lot of people in England. I'm sure people now, because of the American and English versions of the British versions of the English language are sort of all crossed over and mixed up. But a lot of people, probably, especially older people, wouldn't know what a pet peeve is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, they will learn. They will know from now on.
They will
at
know
least.
from now on. Yeah.
Okay, well, we start with Matthew because we are really looking forward to find out about Catalan contributions to humanity, Matthew.
Yeah, and this all started with you, actually. It's all your fault that we're doing this today because
There is some really interesting stuff in there, I think.
Yeah, it started when we were talking about Australia and the Catalan contribution to Australia and stuff, and you asked me out of the blue if the Catalans had introduced the tomato to Australia, and I was sort of, I didn't know. In fact, I still don't know. I haven't got a clue. But I did discover that there were already tomatoes in Australia. They have a thing called a bush tomato, which belongs to the same family, and it was already there before the colonizers got there. And talking of food, we could get down to something very basic, a sort of Catalan invention which is now universal around the world, the fork.
The fork.
The fork. Now, I'm not saying that Catalans invented the fork, but...
That would be really something, yeah? Some like a scoop.
You know, it would be maybe overdoing it a little bit, but there's a medieval writer, Francesc Eiximenis, who wrote a book called Lu Cristià, the Christian, in 1384. And in this book, he claims that the Catalans were the first people who learnt how to use a fork to eat, as opposed to cutting up things and stuff like that, which meant that they were the least messy eaters in the whole of the, well, he says the whole of the world, the whole of the known world at that time, which begs the question, which I'm going to ask you, is how do you imagine people ate when they weren't using a fork? I put this to the panel.
Okay.
Well, many cultures still don't use cutlery these days, like Ethiopian food. Have you tried it?
No.
You have to eat it with your
What kind
hands.
of food, you say?
Ethiopian food, for example, or
Okay.
some Indian food as well.
Yeah.
Emirati food, actually.
Okay.
You have it all in the middle, and then you sit on the floor, and then you just grab it like
with
that.
your hands. you
Yeah,
mean?
and it's rice, so
With
it's
the
quite tricky
Chinese
to eat
sticks.
rice.
Yeah.
With chopsticks.
Chopsticks.
With chopsticks.
Well, my
Exactly,
grandfather
chopsticks.
used to eat by his hands as well.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
So-
And there are more, right?
Well, more serious maybe, or more, at least more believable. You know, put it like, just more believable. The Catalans invented, if inventing is the word, they invented the first parliament at least in Europe, the first parliament. It was developed over the 12th century, which is pretty early, and it consisted of, it wasn't exactly democratic, they were all men to begin with, and the men came from the nobility, from the church, but interestingly they also came from the urban middle classes, which was the bourgeoisie, if you like, but they were there. And that meant that the king, in this case the king of Aragon, but who also ruled over Catalonia, in Aragon he was an absolute monarch, but when he came to Catalonia, and he made a request. The request had to be debated by the Catalan parliament and rejected or accepted. So it was, in fact, the beginning of constitutional monarchy took place in Catalonia.
Was it called the Consell de Cent?
No,
Not that.
funnily enough, these meetings were called, that is with the king and the parliament, were called the generals. The generals, from which eventually we got the word for the Catalan government, the Generalitat.
Ah, interesting.
It came from that period. Which begs another question. It's a curious question to you, which I'm going to throw open to the panel again. Which would you prefer to be, an absolutist monarch or a constitutional monarch? Constitutional meaning a monarch who is subject to the decisions of a parliament, of an elected parliament.
I would prefer to be the queen. Any time.
Yeah.
Same here. Absolutist.
Okay, good
I'm
answer.
always right, of course. So,
Or stronger.
Okay, any other Catalan inventions, Matthew?
There are lots more Catalan inventions. Can you think of any, actually?
Oh, chupa chups. That's
the submarine.
lollipop.
Okay, well there
Okay.
we've got two of the myths of Catalan inventions, because the lollipop
Yeah.
was not invented by a Catalan.
Oh my
It
God.
was invented in America at the end of the 19th century. The idea of putting a sweet on a stick and,
Did we
and so
copy
forth.
the American?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, and quite late, because it wasn't introduced into Spain until the early 1960s.
Yeah.
But then it was very successfully commercialized internationally under the name Chupa Chups.
But we gave it an original name.
Yep.
Well, yes,
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
original
Chupa
Marcel, I mean, Chupa Chups, yeah, okay. I mean, we gave
It's
it
a good
name.
name. It's a
Gave
good
it
name for what it is, right?
And the submarine, there are a lot of Catalans who think that the submarine was invented by an inventor called Narcís Monturiol in 1864. But in fact, submarines had existed, serious submarines had existed since the 18th century. What Narcís Monturiol invented was the first air-independent, combustion-propelled submarine.
What does that mean?
What does it mean?
Air independent, it means that the submarine could go under the water without a hose feeding air into it.
Well, anyway, we'll continue with Nadia now and her report about pet peeves in Salou right away after a short language tip.
Hi. When we want to agree with someone's point, we normally say, I agree. It's so easy that we sometimes forget that there are plenty of alternatives that we can use instead that are equally as short and even more effective. For example, you have a point. This means that we admit that the other person is right, even if we didn't agree with them to begin with. For example, I'd avoid going traveling in Africa during the summer if I were you. You have a point. Alternatively, if you absolutely agree with someone, you can say simply, absolutely. Oh, I agree with him. He's put all his money into it. I trust him completely. Absolutely. So there you have it. Absolutely, and you have a point. Two short but really effective ways to show agreement. They're good, right? Don't you agree?
Yeah, we totally agree with you, JG, and it's time to talk about pet peeves with Nadia and now find out what annoys people in Salou. So, Nadia, did you have any expectations before going to Salou?
Yeah, I expected people to talk more about certain behaviors rather than people that annoy them.
Right.
So you'll see in the report.
All right, so let's check out what people in Salou said.
Today's topic is pet peeves. And no, it has nothing to do with animals, but everything to do with what annoys people. And one of my biggest pet peeves are loud people on the beach when they play loud music and talk loudly. But luckily, it's autumn and it's nice and peaceful here. But let's see what kind of pet peeves the people have around here. Do you have any pet peeves?
Oh yes, my wife.
So what does she do that annoys you?
Everything.
My children. They annoy me.
What do they do?
Oh, they're just crazy, my kids are. Dad, we've always got something to do, so...
Have you ever thought about returning your children, shipping them off?
Oh, many times, but it doesn't work.
Dog fowl on the pavements.
You mean dog poop?
Dog poop, yeah.
Does it annoy you when people talk sorry, I was spitting on you. With their mouth open.
Do I annoying you now?
No, you're joining me. Is there anything that your husband does that annoys you?
In the beginning you say, oh, okay, but after 20 years...
You don't care, you're like, whatever.
Yes. I tell him sometimes that he is even a little bit boring.
Don't worry, he will not see this.
I don't allow him.
What about your wife?
Ooh, I can't tell you, I can't say that.
Very smart. Smart man. Clients.
Oh, they're good. They're very good. They don't annoy me.
So just your wife, I guess?
Yeah.
Excuse me? Excuse me, can I order, please? Bad customer service, the thing I hate the most. Does it annoy you when people touch you a lot when they talk to you?
Depends.
Are you giving me a massage?
Ed's is perfect.
Oh, you're moving away. What about this?
It's not very ladylike.
I know, he made me do it.
Whoa.
Not nice, huh?
No, not really.
So a pet peeve.
Oh, maybe. One pet peeve.
What about Brexit?
Let's get out.
But then maybe you can't come to Spain anymore.
So I'll go to Mexico.
All right then.
And they still speak Spanish there, don't they, in Mexico?
Supposedly.
Supposedly, for now, till Brexit. Are we still filming? I was going to show you my back.
Oh, that's big. Is there anything that annoys you about the other person?
Snows.
I'm sure you must have something as well.
It leaves the toilet seat up.
That's a big one. Seriously, this is one of my biggest pet peeves. This is so disgusting. Come on, men of the world, do us all the favor. 2 seconds. Put the seat down and make the world a better place.
Right, Nadia, I think the last one was it's about common sense, no, basically.
Not really. Also, actually, I found like a study on the internet. Like some guy went to the extent to do a scientific study about should the seat be up or not, and calculating what the ratio would be in a household of men to women, where it would be worth it to put the seat down or leave it up, and who should put it down. So apparently it's a big debate from what I've seen, but then I've also read another article by a woman, and she made one point that is common sense. If you have your toothbrush in the bathroom where the toilet is, and when the lid is, actually the lid should be down, not just the seat.
Yeah.
The sprinkle when you flush goes so far that it will travel to your toothbrush. So unless you wanna brush your teeth with toilet water, I would recommend you put it down.
How long did they spend researching this?
This is a heated debate. And you know, it can actually lead to accidents. It happened to me once. It's like, imagine you get up in the middle of the night and you're like half asleep. And you don't want to turn on the lights because you don't want to get blinded. And then you go into the bathroom and you assume it's down and it's not, and you fall into the toilet.
Into?
Yes.
Okay, right. So, what about your own pet peeves?
In my case, I hate people speaking publicly and starting, "I'll be brief." When they start saying that I'll be brief, you can't go because they are going to be very long and take just a microphone, and I hate.
It's like when people say, trust me. You know you can't trust them. It's like, trust me.
I have two.
Or let me be honest with you, something like that, no? I'll be honest.
I'll be honest. Now, I'll be honest now.
I have two. I don't trust people who call me my friend. You know those people who sort of say, "Now listen, my friend," and it's really, I find that really creepy. And the other thing, it's a smaller pet peeve, is the fact that my children keep calling me adorable all the time.
Adorable?
Adorable.
The
and
irony, that's irony.
that really gets to me because they're actually just joking. It's like, it makes me feel very uncomfortable.
I'll be honest with you. You are adorable, Matthew.
My friend.
Okay, that was a good one. Well, Marius, let's see those tricks about remembering things you promised.
Yeah, we've got this week this book there, which has a very strange title, Was Black and Other Mnemonics. It comes to be a book published in the 80s, the last century, with Isaac Asimov writing in it as well. And they, first of all, they explain that the word mnemonic comes from Greek. It means related to memory. And there was a goddess of memory called Mnemosyne.
I didn't know there was a goddess.
Yeah, a goddess, because
apparently, yes.
Yeah, it means remembrance, and it's a very important thing to remember things. So they've got some tricks here. For instance, if you try to remember or memorize the rainbow colors, but in order, you've got another sentence called Richard of York gave battle in vain. Then I'll make you think a little, because Richard, it's R for red, Of is O for orange. Then you've got York for yellow. It's easy. And then you've got gave, G for green, battle for blue, and there are two left. Anyone imagine? In vain.
Vain for violet.
Vain for not violet. Oh yeah, violet.
Violet.
Sorry.
But before-
And the eye before?
Indigo?
Indigo.
Indigo. Oh,
Yeah.
very good. It was very difficult for me to
My
remember
friend.
indigo. To be honest, this has been very good.
But why would you want to remember that? It's a
Well,
bit
at
useless,
school,
no?
maybe
You
at
have
school.
to?
Well, sometimes when you study, I remember studying Newton's disc with all these colors, just in this order to make light. When you just put in movement, it was like white. So then it's absolutely unuseful. But now another one which I'll give you just a mnemonic so you guess what they refer to, and there's something to do with your section about Catalans. How to set the table, right? With everything in the correct sides. You've got utensils on the left have 4 letters, and on the right have 5 letters. What do you put on the left?
The fork.
The fork.
The fork. That's it, the Catalan fork.
Yes,
Typical
yes,
Catalan,
typical Catalan fork.
on the left.
Catalan invention.
And
The Catalan
knife.
on the
invention.
right, 5 letters.
Knife.
Knife
Knives.
and spoons. So you will always remember that. On the left, fork. On the right, spoon and knife. That's just a formula. Another more useful. Do you know anything about camels? You like camels?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
There are
they
2
have a hump.
types. Well, that's the idea. 1 hump or 2 humps.
2.
Right? Well, let's see.
Andromeda is 1 hump.
There are 2 types of camels, Bactrian camels and Arabian camels, also called dromedarian. Right?
Ah, an Arabian camel is a
That's it.
dromedary. I didn't know that.
That's it. And then you've got 2 letters, Bactrian for B and V for dromedarian. So which is the 2-humped and which is the 1-humped? What do you think? Dromedarian?
Is 1.
Just 1 because it got a D. It's,
And the B is
and
2.
the B is
Yeah.
Bactrian camel. It's the
right,
other one.
right.
So
Makes sense.
you've got 2. Yeah, it's very useful to go to the desert, for instance. Well, and finally, another very absolutely useful to go anywhere. Stalactites and stalagmites. It's a verbal idea to remember it. Stalactites got a C, stalagmites got a G. G for ground, C for ceiling.
Ceiling.
So
We learned this in school. I mean, probably not the teacher who came up with this. I'm sure it was another student. But I remember learning this in school. I was like, we were like trying to remember, because we had a test about it, which one is which. So
I see.
that's how we remembered it.
Okay, in that case, let's move to the solution to last week's guess word, Marius. So the clue was?
The clue was a vertical structure in Stock Market Street. It was 4-letter word, and this Stock Market Street, maybe you think maybe the answer?
I think that's a
Wall.
quite easy one, yeah.
Wall Street, you know, that was quite easy. This week it's longer, so maybe it's not so easy. The best car to change religion. 7 letters. The best car to change religion. 7 letters.
The best car to change religion, 7 letters. Well, if you can solve Marius Serra's guess word, you can post your solution on our social networks. And we take a short break now, but we'll be right back with a thought-provoking chat with Osman Umar. He's the author of the biographical and shocking book Viatge al País dels Blancs, a journey to the country of the white people. He's also an entrepreneur involved in education in Africa. It promises to be a really interesting interview, so try not to miss it. Welcome back. We are going to have a very stimulating chat with a survivor of one of the deadliest journeys ever. The path thousands of immigrants try from Central Africa to Europe. We'll talk about Africa, about immigration, about broken dreams, but above all, we'll talk about hope. But first, let's take a look at the glossary.
We start today's glossary with a plural noun, funds. Funds are amounts of money that are available to be spent, especially money that is given to an organization or person for a particular purpose. You will also hear about Usman Omar's quest to get to Europe. A quest is a long and difficult trip or search made in order to find or obtain something. Pay attention to the following expression, bottomless pit. If you describe something as a bottomless pit, you mean that it seems so large that it will never run out. It can also mean that it drains all your energy or resources. You will also listen our guests talk about ICT centers. ICT stands for Information and Communication Technology, so in this case he means the computer labs his NGO has settled in different schools in Ghana.
Probably the best way to introduce our guest is using his own words. My name is Usman Omar. I know I was born on a Tuesday, but I don't know what month or which year because in my tribe this isn't important. I grew up in the African savannah. Every day I walked 7 kilometers to school. I had a happy and simple life until one day when I was playing and I saw a plane in the sky, and from then on I wanted to be a pilot, an engineer, everything except black. Well, Usman Omar, welcome to the Weekly Mag in the first place.
Thank you very much for this authentic invitation.
Well, many things changed since then, since you saw that plane in the sky. Today you live in Barcelona, you are a social entrepreneur, founder and president of the NGO NASCO Feeding Minds, and you have published a book which we have here called Viatge al País dels Blancs. So tell me about this journey. I imagine it was a long one, right?
Definitely, it's quite difficult, definitely, to summarize 5 years freaking horrible journey in just a few words, but at least I'll try to do my best. When my mother gave birth to me, my mother died during the process, and due to the traditional culture, normally the child is automatically condemned to death because it's normally considered a witch, due to the fact that my father was the tribal leader, the black magician.
Shaman, right?
Exactly. He was able to protect me. And definitely, I think that's one of the most important things that will prove that I'm one of the most luckiest men in this earth.
Okay. When is it that you decide to start this journey to Europe?
The first moment I heard about Europe, white men, was specifically this day that I was playing with my own toy car that I manufactured myself, and I saw an airplane flying in the sky, and I couldn't understood anything. How comes that my toy car could not even move just 1 centimeter by itself? However, the airplane was flying on the sky. So definitely that's where I get the idea that I wanted to go to the white man's land, the paradise for me. I didn't leave Ghana, my country, because of poverty or wars or anything like that.
Okay, so why did you leave then?
I left Ghana because just for curiosity.
Okay.
The same way that Isaac Newton taught in the 17th century that how comes that the fruit falls down, it doesn't fall upwards.
Okay.
That's
a good comparison.
Question, I did something similar. I couldn't understand how comes that the airplane was sustained on the sky. However, the stone I threw up couldn't sustain by itself.
How long did it took you, and what happened in this quite tragic journey in which many people died and in which you suffered terrible situations?
Once I had the idea to leave Ghana, I was almost illiterate. I want to underline the fact that lack of education, information is the main problem. Why hundreds and thousands of people like me lost every single day our lives in the desert.
Yes.
I left Ghana at the age of 13 years.
13?
13 years.
Okay.
When I get to Niger, specifically Agadez, we had to cross the Sahara Desert. Of course, we can always accuse these mafias, these human traffickers.
Yes.
But that's the simple way. But the fact is that we was abandoned in the middle of the Sahara Desert, 46 people.
They abandoned you in the middle of the desert, just like that?
Exactly.
Without any food, any water?
We
without
had
anything?
1 gallon of water per person.
Okay.
which is 5 liters of water.
How did you survive this alone in the desert with no food, no nothing?
In Spanish, we had this expression said, la realidad supera la ficción, the reality overcomes fiction. Sometimes I still need to hurt myself to feel alive. I've explained this story hundreds of times until the point that nobody has to experience this experience, what I
same
experienced.
thing.
Out of 46 people, after 3 good weeks walking almost day and night, only 6 of us was able to make it to Libya.
Okay, only 6 out of 46. And how did you survive?
He who was able to urinate and drinks it was the most luckiest person in that moment. It's not easy.
Okay, I think that says it all. In the book you also explain about human trafficking and all the tragic experiences you had. You mentioned the town of Valley, right?
Yes.
That you had to pay money to get in, and then you had to pay more money to cross the Strait of Gibraltar.
Correct.
Okay, and then eventually you arrived in Barcelona. Tell me briefly this journey from the city of Valley to Barcelona.
This is the second part of the journey, because the first part was to survive in the desert, get to Libya. I stayed in Libya for 4 good years during the dictator of Muammar al-Gaddafi.
It took you 4 years to get to Barcelona from Libya.
Totally from Ghana to Spain, it took me 5 good years. It's literally living in hell. If you look at the map, for example, I didn't cross Gibraltar. I have to go down to Mauritania, Western Sahara, to take the boat to cross Atlantic Ocean almost.
Why did it take you so long to get to Europe?
Because I stayed in Libya for 4 years to work to be able to raise money. In Benghazi, I was able to raise $1,800. And with that, I paid the human traffickers again to leave Tripoli, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, Mauritania, Western Sahara, where we manufacture ourselves 2 different. After paying all this amount of money to the human traffickers, when we get to the coast between Mauritania and Western Sahara, they give us wood to manufacture the boat ourselves.
That's a lot you've been through. Like I said, you had to drink polluted water, you saw your friends dying, you suffered attempted rape even, or starvation. After all this, why do you think that people from your own country still want to come to Europe?
Migration have always existed. Since the beginning of humanity, we've always seek for better lives in different places.
Okay.
I didn't invent it. You didn't invent it. I will not stop it. You will not stop it. It's a reality.
But you, in your book, basically what you want to tell people from your own country is that the solution is to stay in their own country and do what?
The solution is feeding minds. Don't feed my stomach. Feed my mind.
Education, right?
Education.
Okay, that's why you created a foundation.
Exactly.
The logo is on your t-shirt, the t-shirt you're wearing today, Feeding Minds,
exactly.
which is the solution, right?
That's the real solution. I'm not telling them not to come. I'm giving them access to opportunity, access to information. The decision, they will take it themselves.
Okay,
and I promise you that if they had access to the right information and education, nobody will want to drink his own urine during 21 good days in the Sahara Desert to survive to go to what we call Europe.
Your brother helps you from Ghana. Actually, he runs part of the foundation you have there, so you convinced him to stay there, at least.
Absolutely. When I arrived Barcelona, he also wanted to sell all the cows and the rest of what we had there to follow my footsteps to Libya. It wasn't easy to convince him that the real solution is to feed his mind. The great opportunity is in his country.
Yourself, you've been quite lucky, like you said. Here in Barcelona, you met a family who supported you and helped you. And you've been able to study. You're even doing a course at ESADE,
I finished last year.
You finished it?
Yeah.
Excellent. And you're a very busy person. You have lots of projects apart from the foundation. You wrote this wonderful book. What's the main objective of the book?
The main objective of this book, and also my mission of being alive, is to give voice to all these people, friends who died during my journey, and every single day, all the people who keeps on dying in desert Libya or the Mediterranean Sea. And secondly, to work in the origin of the problem to avoid these children to fall in this horrible trip of crossing all north of Africa. And in the other hand, to be able to get some funds to sustain the NASCO schools. We have about 23 different schools right now.
Okay.
More than 15,000 people have passed through our computer classes without any government support. So through our website, you can be partner to give your support for us to keep on feeding minds and creating work opportunity for these people down there.
Okay. Well, this book that we have here, Viaje al País dels Blancs, is just a tiny sample of the shocking experiences that many Africans go through in their quest to find an often imaginary Europe. But in his book, Ousmane himself reminds us that sometimes a bit of fun can help you to overcome even the hardest of situations. And now our collaborator Malcolm will join us, but that will be after a bit of stand-up comedy with the Giggles.
We don't really have a lot of bidets in the United States. Let's put it this way, we're full of assholes, but no bidets. Yeah. When I first moved to Europe, I thought the bidet was a bathtub for a baby. So I was like, wow, you have a baby bath. And they were like, no, that's a bidet. And I was like, I know, bebe.
Well, check out Marnie Manning's videos and the rest of the Giggles on our website. And now let's say hello to our collaborator Malcolm. He's a publisher, but also a traveler and someone who knows Africa very well.
Hello.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. It's very, your story is very moving, very interesting.
Yeah, indeed.
Thank you very much.
So,
Malcolm?
I have some questions for you. I'm very interested in your relationship with your native country, with Ghana.
Yeah.
Ghana is a very complicated country, very complex to understand because you have very prestigious politicians like Kofi Annan. You have it's a stable country. You have the second gold reserves in Africa after South Africa, but you also have high poverty rates. What do you think would be the solution to escape from this bottomless pit of poverty, education, honest politicians? What do you think? Where do you find where we can find the solution for that?
I think the real solution is each and every one of us. We don't have a magic solution. You mentioned very well that we have very brilliant politicians. For example, Kofi Annan have been the greatest politician that we can say Ghana have produced to the world, not only for Ghana, but the rest of the world. Absolutely right. But the fact is that I think we need to go back and recognize a very fantastic quote from Muammar Gandhi. He said, "Be the change you want to see in your world." It's very, very easy to accuse the others. The problem is that the Minister of Education is not doing what he's supposed to be doing. The problem is that the Minister of Transport is not doing what he's supposed to do. But have you just assumed your responsibility to do just the little that you can do?
It's a good point with the change you want to see in the world. No?
When I started 2012 with the Feeding Minds project, I designed the FED proposal. My intention is to propose it to the Minister of Education, just to create just one computer lab in one school as a pilot project. the minister, it was not easy at all to get access, to get a meeting with that. But this was a great disaster, but it makes me remember that I'm the Minister of Education in Ghana. I'm the president of my country. I'm the Secretary General of the United Nations. It's my responsibility to make at least only just one computer lab for my people. Right now, we have about 8 computer labs, 23 different schools, more than 15,000 children have passed through our lab since 2012.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Good answer.
Amazing. Let's change a little bit the subject. You talk about this in your book about a sense of extreme racism, cruelty. For example, in Libya, I myself had in Africa, I have some bad experience. For instance, in Somalia, I was held with Kalashnikovs, and I thought they were Al-Shabaab, and they thought I was a mercenary, and I thought I was going to die. It was only 2-3 days, but it was a hell for me. You know, it wasn't 5 years.
Wow.
But without water, 3 days is a lot. It's a lot in the desert. And in your book, you saw horrendous things, cruelty, mean people, and also good things. Yeah, my question is, what do you think about humanity? Is it good or bad?
It's very easy to be on the left side, that everything's a disaster. Human beings are producing a lot of horrible situations. I myself have experienced a lot of horrible situations in hands of other people. But I still believe and think that we need to give a trust to people. Of course, we have people that manufactured Kalashnikov, and his intention wasn't to kill people. I don't exactly remember the specific article, but I read an article about the fact that per every 7 Africans, there's 1 Kalashnikov.
Wow.
In Africa, at least from my point of view, we don't have any manufacturer to manufacture Kalashnikov.
You know, from the image, the idea we have of Africa here in Europe is quite flat, quite reductionist, and quite racist too. In fact, you know that Africa have 3 Nobel Prize for literature, and 2 of the 3 are white. But lately, I think we're getting more pervious. We are more interested in Africa, the stories of Africa getting to us, including yours. Do you think it would improve the relations between Africa and Europe, this kind of understanding each other, knowing each other, learning from each other?
I think this is basic. This kind of relationship of or recognition of the fact that the history, the story of Africa is very important, and we need to sit down and look each other from the same level, not I'm here and you are here. What I've done during all the last 50, 60, 70 years of the history. This could help make changes, of course, yes. I still remember this meeting with the president, the current president of Ghana, with Macron, the president of France, whereby Macron announced proudly that France was going to establish their relationship with Ghana, and their social support is going to increase, blah, blah, blah. And the president of Ghana said, look, let's be real to each other. Let's respect each other. After 60 years of independence, do you think our education, which is fundamental for a country to improve, health, which is another fundamental for a country to resist, to grow, supposed to depend in hands of charity? What are we talking about?
In fact, I think we have a lot of things to share. I mean, there's some things that are intolerable for Western eyes, like, I don't know, you said that the story of what happened when a mother dies, giving birth, I don't know, selling wives or child labor. But on the other hand, my experience in most of Black African countries is some idea of the family, of the clan, of how we take care of each other, And I mean, I think we can learn from each other.
Absolutely.
And we can share these values, right?
We can always learn from each other if we respect, we start from respect. Not that I know more than you. I know more about this, but you also know more about that. So we need to relate from the basic that we are equal so we can really interact and share. We have a lot of things that I think the Western world have automatically lost, which is values.
I learned so much from you.
Yes, indeed. Well, Osman, you actually, this is not the first time for you at the Weekly Mag. You were interviewed in our section Portraits about a year ago, okay? So let's see what you said then.
If people know the reality, if people get access to the real information, I promise you they will think twice before risking their life in this journey. For me, I think in 5 years I will be impacting thousands of lives. That's my mission.
Okay, so you have 4 more years to go to achieve what you said you would, right? So what's left to do from what you said you would achieve?
For example, this time I was collaborating with an NGO that operates in Mediterranean Sea. For example, you can see that. And since November last year, I decided to work on my own instead of collaborating with an organization that works in the Mediterranean Sea, because I think the real solution is before getting to the sea. When we get to the sea,
it's too late.
The real battle is lost.
Right, I see.
So, as I said, right now, what am I doing? For example, NASCO have established 8 ICT centers. 23 different schools are using our ICT centers.
So that's quite a lot. You've achieved quite a lot in this time, and still lots of
What's
things.
left to do? Right now, I have the ICT centers, a partnership with Cisco Systems that gives certificate to our students. The first student that finished our courses, they are now developers. We've created a company called NASCOTech, which is in its pilot phase at the moment. We have 18 developers. So I'm now in a phase that's seeking for social impact investors or companies that will give us the first contract to give these people to develop down there to prove that intelligence has no color. And I'm absolutely convinced that if anyone wants to know more about what NASCOTech is really pretending and the powerful, strong points of NASCOTech, what we can do down there for the rest of the world, we will be really, really great to get in contact with any company or any investor that wants to know more about what NASCOTech is doing. The solution of migration exists. I have the key.
Well, that's good to know, right?
Very good to know.
Well, we are about to finish this interview, but we still have time for the question chain. That's a question for you, Osman. That's a question for you from our previous guest last week. We talked about climate change and science with the researchers Ana Caño Delgado and Elena Radjenovic, and this is what they asked you.
Hello, my name is Jelena Radjenovic, and this is my colleague.
Hello, my name is Ana Caño, and we have a question for you.
Can you name 3 women scientists, and none of the 3 can be Marie Curie?
Quite interesting question. We have to be real to each other. The fact is that women scientists are not well known. That's the fact.
Yeah, that's why I think they asked you that question.
I think for me, I'm really fortunate because in my high school, I learned about this scientist called Lynn Margulis. He was the founder. He acknowledged, the first scientist to acknowledge about the production of the eukaryotic cells.
Okay.
So fortunately, one of my colleagues at work, he had a scholarship to go to US, and he lives in the apartment of Lynn Margulis. I think there's also my Jameson, who's the first black African scientist that was able to traveled to the, space. And I think it's quite interesting to also acknowledge that the first black African woman to do that. And of course, this scientist that works on chimpanzees and all that, I think that's
Jane Goodall.
Jane Goodall, exactly. So to answer their questions, I think.
Well, I think you answered this question very successfully, right, Malcolm?
Very successful.
What about women or the situation of women in this case in Ghana?
For me, it's a huge opportunity to know that our last research on what we've done for the last 8 years, that we've get to improve women participating in our ICT centers, almost 42%. It has increased from almost 18-20% to 42% of women being to our computer classes. So for me, it's a huge opportunity.
Well, Malcolm, anything else to add?
No, sometimes working in media gives you the opportunity of knowing very interesting people. This is one of those days. Thank you very much.
And well, Ousmane Oumar, we've been both shocked, I think, and moved at the same time by your experience. We enjoyed your book and we recommend it to all our viewers, and we really hope that this will lead to a better awareness of this tragic situation that affects so many people around the world. We really appreciate you coming here today and sharing your experience with us. Thank you so much. And thank you, Malcolm.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Until next time.
All right.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you very
Well,
much.
and now we'll take a short break, but we'll be right back with Love in Translation and many other things. But first, a language tip.
Hi. In English, when we want to express disagreement, we normally just say, I disagree. However, that can sound so neutral sometimes that it loses its effectiveness. If you're in an informal situation and you want to express disagreement, you could just say, no way. For example, India is the most populated country in the world. No way, it's China. Alternatively, some people also put on Jose after no way. For example, no way Jose. For no real reason other than it sounds a little bit funnier and it's a little bit more informal. For example, Espanyol are the best football team in the world. No way Jose, it's Barca. Alternatively, if you want to express disagreement in a more formal situation, you could use the term, I beg to differ. For example, current economic trends seem to be favouring the lower social classes. I beg to differ. Current research shows that blah, 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 blah. So there you have it. Very, very formal, I beg to differ. Very, very informal, no way, Jose. Just don't mix them up. Thank you.
Do you remember? Can you find it inside it?
Hey, Music Lover, we have a plan for you. Actually, it's a plan for us in Dana's last album. Don't miss it, coming up on the Weekly Mag.
All those things. Was it vanished with the wind? Just as everything. Could it be?
Welcome back. Music has brought together our next couple, Conrad from Liberland, a territory between Serbia and Croatia, and Adriana, an arts teacher from Barcelona. They used to be in the same band and now they've been together for 5 years. Let's check out their love story.
Hi, my name is Adriana and I am from Barcelona,
Hi, my name is Conrad. I'm from Liberland.
and we've been together for 5 years. We met because he was looking for a singer, and a friend in common introduced us, and we started playing music together, like friends first.
She did.
No. He did.
She
No.
kept looking at me and she was telling me she wanted more.
No.
I resisted all that I could, but in the end,
No.
I fell.
The both of us, we start feeling something, no? I think. We don't have, never have a date. I think we start...
We did a lot of things together, but a date like, hi, let's go to the movies, that was much
No,
later,
we
I
don't
think.
have.
We were busy. We played a lot of concerts together. What surprised me the most? Well, the food is very delicious. That surprised, well, it was a pleasant surprise. And also, people speaking really loud all the time and talking over each other at the same time.
Maybe eat spicy food, no? Like tacos, Mexican food.
And I like Catalan food.
All our food.
Yeah, that's the religion here, right?
Halloween.
Halloween, yeah, that's a big one for us. Yes.
Yeah, I love Halloween.
I don't know about adopting, but I can't get used to being in restaurants where the waiters are rude to you. That happens so often. I mean, the food is very good in the restaurants, but sometimes the waiters are just like, what do you want?
Maybe he likes weapons and I don't like weapons. I'm against weapons.
When I was 13, yeah. I do love that movie though. Yeah.
I don't know. It's the first I remember because I saw with him and he likes what.
I love Molly Ringwald. One, two, three. I was gonna say cake actually, but sometimes there's no cake, there's something else, and if it has chocolate, yeah.
I don't remember what I say correct.
I don't remember either, but I'm pretty sure it was me.
The first day we kissed, the second he said I love you.
No.
Yes.
Not the first day we kissed. No.
The second.
It was much later than that.
Intana's first album was released in 2017, and only 1.5 years later they brought out A Plan for Us, their second project. They have played at Primavera Sound, Vida Festival or the Mercat de la Música Viva in Vic, and today we are very happy to have with us Núria Moliner and Guillem Callejon. Welcome both.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure. Well, Intana, first of all, this name, what does it mean?
Actually, it doesn't have a meaning, and it's a made-up word, but it's the word that I used to use when I was a child, when I was a kid. Instead of saying ant, the little tiny insect, I would say Intana. And I don't know, I still don't know the reason why I did that, but I really like this as a name of a band, because at the end a band is more than just my name or just one person. There are 4 of us. And it's also a pretty personal word, and it makes reference to my, when I was a kid, and all this subconsciousness that we have and creativity that we have when we are just kids. So it's, I think it's a good word to start a new project.
We're going to talk about your second album, which is called A Plan for Us. It's quite different, actually, from your first album. Critics say that your first album was more intimate, more direct, raw, raw thing, and the second one has become more substantial and more, I don't know, more mature, but also at the same time very warm. How would you describe them and the difference between your two projects?
Well, the first one maybe is more raw because it was recorded in like 3 or 4 days. It was like really? It was like a shot of a moment, like very, it was very fast, and it was what we had at the moment, the material that we had at the moment. And in the second album, there was a lot of thought into it. We put like a month, I would say, into it. We recorded for a very long period of time, maybe a month and a half, or so. It's very different process that leads to like a very different.
And at the end, when we recorded the first album, we had just started playing the four of us together. I think it was just a few months after we started. So it's more direct in that sense. It's just the four of us playing at the same time. It's more related to the live show. But in the second album, we wanted to experiment a little bit more, to introduce new elements, new textures, new instruments, new sounds. That's when the keys appeared in the band. And at the end, it's all about having fun. You don't want to be in the same place because you are not personally. You are always growing or trying to evolve. So it made sense to try new stuff.
And it also deals, I guess, with taking initiative in life and not just and break away a little bit from inertia, no?
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
Definitely. It was like a little bit of an investigation somehow, like where we could go with these different instruments. At the time, we had like a little bit of a playground to do it.
Well, the songs are both in English and in Catalan. Why in English? And who does the writing? How does it go? The writing process.
I had always written songs in English because we have all these references and maybe we get used to this kind of music related to this language. And for me, the challenge was to start writing in Catalan because there is no filter here. You're more vulnerable, more exposed, and I think that's something beautiful when it comes to writing music. So I wanted to try that. And now it's just a natural thing. I just flow when I have something to express. I let my thoughts go and I just write in whatever language makes sense at the moment, but I don't stop to think, okay, let's make a song in Catalan, then one in English. So it just, depending on the feeling, the type of song, the type of mood, it evolves into one thing or another.
Where did you learn your English? Because you both have very good English.
I don't know.
So you learned it here, you travel a lot. How does it go?
Well, I studied in Texas, in the United States, and my wife's from the States, so we practice quite a bit every day.
You talk in English more than in Catalan every
sometimes,
day, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, it shows.
I do.
Yeah, and in my case,
American accent, right?
A little bit of an American accent. No.
Yeah, no.
Really bad accent, I would say.
think we also learn English from the music, right?
Yeah.
That's where I learned.
Yeah, we're
English the
completely
most.
surrounded at this time with like American culture, pop culture, somehow.
Yeah. Well, Nuria, apart from being a musician, you are also an architect in your first profession. How did architecture help you in your music? How has it changed what you do?
They both have a lot of things in common. At the end, they are two disciplines which have the passional and creative side and also the technical or more rational side. And what makes them beautiful is that they have this balance between the two sides of the brain. And I think that's what brought me to both architecture and music. It's actually, I'm not entirely sure how I can tell if architecture is influencing my way of writing or making music. Some of the lyrics, maybe I could say. Also the structure I have in my mind, the order, it has something to do with that. But there's a quote that I normally use, which is, I think it's quite beautiful because they say that architecture is like frozen music.
It's
So yeah, maybe it's a way to say it, to explain it.
It's a very beautiful quote. In your case, Guillaume, you are also you studied physics.
Physics and
Yes, and
mathematics.
mathematics.
Yeah. Well, physics, it's like a very mathematical kind of
So
degree.
how does that combine with music?
I understand perfectly what Nuria tries to explain, because it's a little bit the same thing, the same mindset. When you play music, there's a lot of mathematics involved. There's a lot of like rational things that you have to like balance at the same time with a little bit of non-mathematical stuff to make, like a little bit like life, no? Like
I
the
see.
most pragmatical and the most romantic thing combined. So it works. It wouldn't spark.
Right, Nuria, you are also a TV presenter. If you had to choose between music, architecture, and being a presenter, what would you choose first?
Why would I have to choose?
Exactly, that's a very good answer.
Yeah,
Why
and
do you
a
have
lot
to
of
choose if you can do all of them, right?
That's what I'm trying to do. It's not always easy, but a lot of people think that you can only do one thing at a time. And I think the more things you do, the more inspired and open-minded and connected to other stuff you are. So for me, it's a plus. It's a positive thing that I'm not only doing one sole thing. And yeah, it makes sense. By now, I'm managing to do the three things, and they have overlapping moments. Sometimes I go to an event to talk about architecture, and then we play. We are also playing and making the original song of the TV show.
Well, what do you think about the quality of the music scene in Catalonia at the moment? There are so many festivals,
Yeah,
so
there's a
many
lot of
venues.
things happening.
So, what do you think about
There's
that?
a lot of things happening, more and more. Like every single year, there's new festivals, new little things happening, new little events, new bands, new labels.
You would say it's a good situation, that the music here in Catalonia is in a good shape at the moment?
I think so. Creatively, definitely.
Yes.
But we still have to consider that it's not easy to make a living only out of music. It's still a challenge, and you're working really hard every single day in order to try it. But it's true that especially in Catalonia, there's like a circle of fests and a lot of shows and venues where you can actually have to be really lucky if you're playing there. And it's a really positive thing for bands like ours.
For all those who want to come and see you, where can they go?
We're actually playing in Barcelona just in a few days. It will be on December 13th at Heliogaba, which is a really nice venue in Gracia, in the neighborhood. And we're really looking forward to it because it's a special place for us. So yeah, anyone who can come and would like to see us live, it's a great chance to do that.
Okay. What are you going to perform, to sing today for us?
We're going to perform actually the last song of our last album. It's called Tidal Force, and yeah, we hope you enjoy it.
Yes, it's about?
It's about things that happen and change you, make you a different person, and you don't know you're not 100% sure why or what happened, but you're evolving, moving somewhere else.
Okay, sounds good. Well, Guillem and Nuria, thank you so much for coming
Thanks
today.
for having
Looking
us.
forward to listening to the song. Well, and while Nuria and Guillem get ready on stage, let's watch a language tip. Last week, our friends from International House Barcelona taught us how to create abstract nouns from adjectives. Catch up with it online if you haven't already. And today they extend the tip with more suffixes, so have a look.
Hi, so last week we gave you some advice about how to change adjectives into nouns using suffixes.
And this week we're going to be doing something very similar, but we're going to be taking verbs and turning them into nouns, also using suffixes. So, first of all, we've got two very common suffixes, schon and schön, one spelled with a T, the other with an S. So we take a verb like decide and we change it to decision.
Yeah, or we get informed turns to information. There are loads of other suffixes to use, for example, ants and ents. So we have resist turns to resistance.
Another common one is munt. So we take the verb involve, we change it to involvement.
And we have al, so approve turns to approval.
Or iti turns prosper into prosperity.
And eri turns bribe into bribery.
So those tend to be the most common ones, but there are also lots of other ones as well.
So, are you up for a game?
Sure, always up for a game.
Brilliant. Right, so we're going to turn verbs into nouns.
Okay.
So, if I say Lucy appears.
Lucy makes an appearance.
Perfect, Tim. Right. Tim withdraws money from the bank.
Tim makes a withdrawal.
Tim enjoys fishing.
Tim gets lots of enjoyment out of fishing.
Tim robs a bank.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Tim takes part in a robbery.
And if I predict.
I make a prediction.
Okay. Something impacts my life.
It has an impact. Oh, that one's exactly the same.
Exactly the same. So there are many verbs which have the same form as the noun. So you don't have to change them.
So I hear you asking, how do I remember which suffix, or if there's no suffix at all? Well, I recommend that you try out the different suffixes in your head first, which one sounds best, and go with that one.
Good advice, Tim. Okay, thanks.
It took a while to come back. Took the world to react, to be the same, or to change into something new. Was it one of the things that defines you for good, crossing the line beyond the edge, waiting somewhere?
After enjoying Intana's music, here's a story of integration and solidarity. Since yesterday, Catalonia has been immersed in El Gran Recapte d'Aliments, and so have we. More than 4,000 tons of food were collected last year, and we really hope that this year they'll do even better. And today, we talked to Sabine Hindersin, who has been behind this initiative since 2011. This is One of Us.
I'm Sabine Hindersin. I'm German, but I was born in Barcelona. I'm already working for 10 years in the bank. I started my work here in the food bank when I was stuck in 2009. And it was something I already had in mind because I was in a very luxury section of consume, and I wanted to see the other part of our social life. I was very impressed because, as I already said, I was accustomed to work with luxury, but high luxury, yes. And so when I arrived here, seeing that we were collecting food for people who had nothing to eat, it was really impressive. We are nearly 240 people working in the bank the whole year. During all these years, in spite that we do so many things, I realize that we don't reach to help everyone. We have quite a lot of people, and this is not decreasing, it's increasing, that we have lots of people who need our help. I'm in charge of the great food drive we have annually. Gran Recapte is the campaign for only 2 days. And it's a campaign who gives us approximately the 25% of the whole tons we give to the organizations. It's really become a tradition here in Catalonia, also all over Spain. And I think this enormous food drive has become a campaign of society. It's not our campaign, it's the campaign of volunteership. We have almost 30,000 people who help us during these 2 days to organize the campaign. We have some volunteers who were mainly in the campaign of Gran Recapte. In the supermarket, you will find people who years ago had the help of the Banc dels Aliments, and now they help us, yes? And that's life. That's life. You give and you get. I think it's for themselves very important to be now in a situation to help others, because by their own experience, they had suffered the hunger, and now where they had a better situation, they help others. And for me, I think that's the most important, to see that that society, that people help each other, and there where administration and government does not reach, we are there to help each other. And we may not forget this, because it's the basis for all life.
Classical mythology, gods, heroes, demigods, peace, sex, violence, and lots of sandals for some reason. Prepare to reach the Olympus on today's Guess What with Sergi Cervera.
Welcome back. We are about to start our Guess What quiz. You know that one of the best ways to win a quiz is by reading a lot. And where else better to do that than in your local library. And now is the time to listen to our book recommendations from the Xarxa de Bibliotecas Municipals of the Diputació de Barcelona.
The Bloody Chamber is a very special book for me. This is the case because when I was studying, Angela Carter was the most famous writer in Britain, with the result that the majority of doctoral theses in Britain in those days were written about Angela Carter. The thing is that Angela Carter writes fairy tales, and she rewrites all these type of traditional stories, Beauty and the Beast or Little Red Riding Hood. Her words are not easy, this is true, but her stories are so short that it won't take much time to read them. You won't regret it. Read The Bloody Chamber and tell me all about it afterwards.
In Nora Webster by Com Tobin, we accompany the daily life of the main character, Nora, in the 60s in Ireland, during 3 years. Her husband has recently passed, and she struggles to make a living and to help out her children. It is a novel about struggling, about suffering, but also about hope. The author, Com Tobin, has a good relationship with Catalonia because he lived here in the 70s.
Okay, so you know, never miss an opportunity to discover a new book. And now it's time for Guess What? Our thematic quiz conducted by our quizmaster, Sergi Cervera. Welcome, Sergi.
Hi, Marcella. Hi, everyone. Hi, citizens of this city called Guess What? A place where thirst for enigmas can only be quenched in the well of wisdom.
Wow, Sergi, I see that you're very inspired today.
I know. Yeah, that's because I've been drinking from the well of classical mythology, or I've had too many drinks, maybe. That's
possible.
That's a possible and real answer. Today we're going to test our contestants' knowledge about Greek and Roman gods, demigods, heroes, and beasts in classical culture, and Mark is really excited about it.
Once again, I have no idea about mythology.
And you will see.
First, let's introduce our guest contestant today, Luis Benthal. He's also an aeronautical engineer and collaborator in Radio Televisão de Cardedeu. Well, Luis, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Scary enough, the fact that I'm an aeronautical engineer or not?
You see, Patricia and Mark, we brought you a smart guy today.
That sounds
you scour
impressive.
Catalonia looking for intelligent people to come and win, basically.
Yeah.
Welcome. That's a compliment.
Okay, Luis, so you work in aircraft safety, right? So tell us, what's it all about?
Yeah, what I basically do right now, it's kind of being like the CSI, like the crime scene investigator.
Yes.
If something happens with the technical area department on the aircraft, I usually get involved, investigate, try to perform some mitigation actions so we don't have the same problems.
So can we feel safe when we fly?
Yeah, I won't explain much
or it happens
about
like
it because
with
you will get
McDonald's.
scared for sure. So we'll leave it like I'm just an investigator. Everything always goes fine, and we find solutions for almost everything. Just please keep on flying.
Okay,
I thought
good to know.
It might happen like when you go to McDonald's, or when you know someone who's working in the McDonald's and then you don't want to go to McDonald's anymore. It might happen the same thing with you, or it's totally different. And
For
the more
sure,
we know,
McDonald's is scarier than flying. We can leave it at
Okay,
this.
but your true passion, Luis, is TV. Actually, you said before that if you could work in TV, you would leave everything else. Is that correct?
That's true indeed. I mean, have you got any like childhood passion?
Yeah, I wanted to be on TV too. We could do a TV show about an investigator of airplanes.
Oh God!
Sergi, isn't that a great idea?
We told you not to make work offers, TV work offers, in front of the camera anymore.
If somebody is listening, just hire us. We're pleased to do.
Don't get involved with that one.
No, you
That's my piece
you
of
can have
advice.
your own show. Don't like.
Okay, and also let's say hi, of course, to our now professional contestants, Mark Broderick and Patricia Escalona. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
How's it going?
All right, so everything's ready then. let your quest begin. Oh, mortals, let's get our first round started, the multiple choice challenge. I'm excited, am I? Nobody likes classical mythology as much as actors, as you can see. So I have summoned a trio of thespians for you guys. Here we go.
Okay, let me translate this for you. I think, actually, Sergio, you met your pals in a bar. You probably bought them a couple of drinks, some beers, and they couldn't run away. Is that correct?
Everything's true, but I didn't buy them a drink. They paid for themselves.
Yeah, I thought so.
Ooh, stingy. Yes, and I asked them which Greek or Roman god they would like to be. So this is the first of my victims, volunteers. I mean volunteers. I meant volunteers. Right. Yeah. So here we go.
My name is Jordi Carallans. I'm an actor, and I am working right now in a stage project. The god of my choice actually is a goddess, and she's called Athena, and she's the goddess of wisdom, which is the best quality I think you can have right now.
Okay, so wisdom is always something to be welcomed. But what would Jordi use this wisdom for? I'm gonna give you 3 options, and let's see. A, to make good decisions. B, to make the world a better place. How beautiful. And C, to quit being an actor.
Oh, absolutely C, to quit being an actor. That's without a doubt. If he's wise, he would quit being an actor.
Why possibly would anyone
want to be an actor? Ask yourself that.
Exactly. I do that every single day in front of my mirror.
I think I will follow your lead. It looks, yeah, because you're on the first part of this game, you're always winning, so you're kind of a good mind reader.
He's done his homework.
It looks quite okay, this line of thought, like try to get wisdom to leave the actor behind.
I don't know what gave you the impression that he is always in the lead in the first part of the film, but whatever, if you want to say that.
Last season, I didn't like you that much, but this season, I love you.
I know, right?
I don't know what's going on here.
I'm going to go for, what was it?
Option A, to make good decisions.
That's the one. You don't need to repeat them all.
Exactly.
That's the one.
Okay. What would you do with more wisdom? Let's see what Jordi has to say about it.
I would like to be really, really wise, and I would like to use this wisdom to help people and to help the world to be a better place.
Of course, that's right.
I don't believe him. He looked to the right and he kind of looked back. He's like, I'm on TV. I have to say something that, you know.
Well,
I don't believe him.
If he hasn't quit being an actor by now, not even all the gods would help him.
He doesn't believe that people can be actually good, so that's why, you know.
Yes.
Okay, so well, Sergio, what's the situation?
The situation
I think
is
we
like
have no points.
Exactly.
Right?
They three lost, which also the wisdom lost as well.
No points for the moment, but the game continues.
Believe it or not everybody craves wisdom. Not mentioning anyone here. Here is our second actor.
I'm Mar Rivera, I'm an actor, I'm 33 years old. My favorite god, for example, is Bacchus.
Yes.
Sorry, who?
There you go, Bacchus.
Bacchus. A young actor.
You don't even know who that is, right?
He'd like to be the god Bacchus. Bacchus.
Like a Bacchus, like the thing
Like
that you count with.
Well, exactly. So repeat with me, Bacchus.
Bacchus.
Bacchus. So
that
here
would be
I
your
am,
favorite
me
as
teaching
well,
English to Mark. Okay, why? Why would he choose this option? Option A, because he likes sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Option B, because he likes sex, drink, parties, and grapes. C, because he likes drinks, parties, and agriculture.
And agriculture.
Agriculture. Not every culture.
Agriculture.
Agriculture.
So he likes growing plants.
He likes,
like coca plants, marijuana plants, etc.
Agriculture.
I'm going to go with C. I'm going to go with that straight line of thought. I'm going to go with C. Why
you
not?
feel like C today.
Yes.
You are the C option guy today.
The only difference between A and B, it's grapes.
Most of it, yeah, exactly. B becomes more specific. So sex, drugs, and rock and roll versus sex, drink, parties, and grapes.
I will do the grapes, yeah.
The grapes one. Like, oh, grapes. There we go. Patricia.
The healthy option.
Sex and drugs and rock and roll.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. All right,
the plants. Come on, the plants.
Okay, how do you feel? You feel excited? Here is the answer.
I like to have sex, I like drink, I like the grapes. I like the party.
Like, what the hell is he coming up with grapes
Absolutely,
for?
of course.
Grapes. You
Sex,
have to see the
dreams,
image.
parties,
Oh my God, yeah.
and grapes for some reason.
Because of the crown.
Yeah, I think
The
it's the image.
Yeah, back
I
is
know,
wearing
but
like a.
That's true, actually.
Even a cornucopia with food and grapes falling. So that
Now-
was my image of it. When you say grapes, I was like, okay.
Now it makes sense.
Okay. All right. Well, congratulations to Luis. You have 1 point.
Well done, sir.
You can take half a point with the agriculture. like grapes are
One
part
point
of
to
it.
Luis, but to be more specific, 0 points to Patricia and 0 points to Mark.
You just sounded like Marius right there. And
Before we go on, tell us what is your favorite, or who is your favorite god?
Who's my favorite god?
Who is your favorite god?
Oh, Thor, the god of thunder, the Viking god of thunder. Look, it's my
There you
hammer.
go, yeah.
Come on, it has to be Thor.
Now everything makes sense.
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God! All
Thank
right.
you for pointing that out. I was slow to that one.
Luis, Patricia?
Goddess.
I've never actually thought of that.
I'll give you time. I think I will go for Zeus. Like, I will be zipping like thunderstorms, lightnings everywhere.
Okay, we have war in that sector.
Yes, storms
Patricia
and
put some
light.
Kronos, because he can control time.
I like that one. I like that one.
Yeah.
Sorry,
All right.
who?
She's gonna
Kronos.
win the speed challenge.
He
then.
also had his
We have-
children, but whatever.
Yeah, I was thinking on that. That's a
We
weird
have
one,
the
but
potential loser of the speed challenge and the potential winner of the speed challenge. All right, let's finish with our third actor, Nacho.
Hello, how are you? My name is Nacho, Nacho Bonacho, yes, it's like that. And I believe, that's what I think, that all the Greek gods have all the power. So if I had to choose one, I will choose Apollo.
Nacho Bonacho. Yes, an actor probably very good in verse. Why did he choose the god Apollo? All right, so here are the options. Option A. It's true.
Sorry.
It's true. His name is Nacho Bonacho, and there is nothing funny about it. Option A, to be beautiful and make people more beautiful.
Oh, God.
B, to be beautiful and make all the other guys ugly. And option C, to be beautiful and make everyone else disappear.
He has a complex about being beautiful, huh?
I'm not sure about
Beauty
that.
is only on the inside.
In
I'm
the
gonna go with C.
C.
Yeah,
So
sounds like
today-
something I
today
said.
you
Today
are
I'm gonna go
bet-
with C, and
betting
for
everything.
sure I'm gonna get it.
Okay,
For one,
okay.
I'm with C.
I
All
mean,
on C.
if he's Bonacho, I'll go with A. Like,
I love it. I love it. I love it. And Patricia?
I'm gonna go with your answer because I can't think anymore.
Hey, Nacho Bonacho wants everyone to be beautiful, or, versus Nacho Bonacho wants everyone to just disappear.
Exactly.
All right, let's
Why
check it
not?
out.
Why not?
Because I will have all the power to make disappear everyone, and also I will be beautiful. Well, I am beautiful anyway. So Apollo.
Amazing.
Nacho Bonacho
All
would be the only man left
All
alive.
right. I get it, to make the rivals just disappear. So fair play above all. All right.
All right, so that was 1 point for Mark. Luis continues with 1 point, and for the moment, no points for Patricia.
Amazing. No, do it again. She's not used to it, right? Okay, but that can change in an instant in the next round, the speed challenge. 2 points each right answer. Luis, here you have your bell. Check it out. Okay. Okay, it looks good, but you have to be faster in order to... Okay, which you will have to ring in order to answer, by the way. And Patricia and Mark, you have the horn and the hammer. Make yourself worthy of them, because it's not the contestant who chooses the instrument. It's the instrument that chooses the contestant.
Really, Sergi? That was you, right?
Yeah, okay. I'm just a device in the hands of the gods of the games, you know? And this is how the round works. We will ask you about Roman and Greek names of the gods of the Olympus, the first to use their instrument. Did you like that line? You mentioned it last week. The first who uses the instrument will be the first to answer. If you get it wrong, the other two will get their chance. Okay? Let's get started.
Ready?
Not really.
Well, never mind, we need to do it anyway.
Exactly. Basically, we don't
I
care.
only know
Mark.
about 2 gods, so it's going to be a repetition of the 2 gods until I get one right. Okay, go.
Now you're ready, right?
Yes, I'm ready, I'm ready.
Okay.
There you go.
1. The Greek god of parties and wine.
Patricia. Laughter is not
You
the
said
right
Greek,
answer.
right? The Greek, exactly. Oh, not Bacchus.
No, I wasn't
That was
paying
the
attention, yeah.
Roman god.
That was
And
the
Greek,
Roman god, yeah.
it's- Come on.
No? Mark?
Helen of Troy?
That's not correct.
Let's try
She loves to party, but I don't know if she's
Dionysus.
Greek.
Dionysus. Point goes to no
Dionysus.
one. The Roman god of the underworld and also Disney's dog.
Pluto!
Yes.
Really? Oh,
Okay.
wow.
The Greek goddess of love and desire.
Mark.
Aphrodite! Aphrodite!
That's right.
Aphrodite.
Aphrodite. Okay, here we go. The Roman god of the sea. Mark.
The guy with the trident. Titan. Or whatever his name is. Is it Titan?
It's
No.
I said Roman.
Roman.
Roman. No idea. No.
I'm not here today.
Neptune. Point goes
Yes,
to you, Luis.
okay.
Job well
The
done.
Greek god of the sea.
That's the guy with the go on.
Luis?
Poseidon.
That's right. Point goes to you.
Great.
Well done. The Roman god after which we call the red planet. Luis? Mars. Mars. Your turn.
The Greek messenger of gods.
Patricia?
Mercury.
Not correct. The Greek.
Hermes.
Hermes.
Well, you helped me out
right.
on that one.
Okay, Jupiter's wife. Mark. It's impressive.
Hold on.
Luis.
Hey.
Said no, you try.
Come on, hurry up.
Jupiter's wife is...
Incorrect, Luis.
I have no idea.
Era?
That's
No.
not correct. Patricia?
Jupiter's wife.
Time's up. Juno.
Oh, I like the TV. I like the movie.
Yeah.
Correct.
Juno.
The Roman goddess of hunt.
Of what?
That was the first one.
Sorry, the goddess of
Sure
what?
if I know this
Of
one.
hunt.
Patricia, your
Hunt,
turn.
exactly.
Patricia?
Atalanta?
That's not correct. Luis?
The Greek one is Diana.
Yeah.
So
Calliope-
it's correct.
Diana?
It's Diana.
I said the Greek. Okay.
Diana, that's
Then
right.
Diana.
That's right.
Correct. Yes.
You have to show more commitment, but that was the right answer. So
Exactly.
here we go. Juno's husband.
Jupiter.
Jupiter, that's correct.
I know, I had that one.
Of course. Here we go. The Roman god of fire who spits fire. Patricia.
Vulcana?
Vulcan. That's correct. That's
good.
correct.
That's good. Excellent.
Oh,
well,
okay.
that was,
Volcano.
that was the last one.
Guys,
Thank
Right,
God that was the
so,
last one. And thank
yeah.
whatever God that was there that
think-
was the
Well
last one.
I think we have to congratulate our,
Yeah.
Luis. our-
Luis, great. You're doing great. Well,
You did an
your homework,
impressive job.
but yeah, it's impressive. So Luis is in the lead with
Exactly.
13 points.
13 points. Our guest today.
We're getting buried, huh?
I am getting
Followed by
married.
Mark.
Followed by Mark,
Buried.
unexpected and
5
unexpectedly.
points, and for the moment, Patricia has 2 points. That question we have prepared for them. If you had to be a god from Olympus, which one you'd definitely not choose to be, and why?
Oh, Zeus.
Tricky question.
Zeus, why?
For the sheer stress of it. Like,
Okay.
he's always fathering people or killing people or deciding what to do. It's like, oh.
That's
Not
right.
for you, yeah?
No.
Right.
Is the Minotaur a god? I don't want to be the Minotaur. Is that anything to do with the Greek gods? No.
Yeah, but
It's
it's not a
He's not a
god.
god, no? Was he not a god? That was
No.
monster.
Do you think?
I've absolutely, you see, I'm showing my absolute ignorance to this subject. I'm
Do you
sorry.
think
Well,
Psycho
okay.
You're not
having
alone.
a big eye here will
A third eye.
suits you? Yeah, no, it's just one.
Just one. The cycle.
just
Ah,
one.
okay, yeah.
That,
Makes sense.
that
makes
could
sense.
work. That could work. Let me picture that.
Luis?
I think I'll take anything. At least it has some power.
Exactly. This time.
I'm aiming
Okay.
for
Okay,
power.
fair enough.
So now we're moving forward now to the last round.
But first, let's watch a bit of stand-up comedy with the giggles.
If a man can remember your eye color after the first date, that means you got small tits. Sorry.
Okay, so I think backers would be very proud of Robert Marquez's humor. In that case, we'd recommend him to check out all the giggles on our website.
Yes. And everything can change at the 11th hour. So let's take on the clue challenge. 3 points every right answer. Michelle is going to read clues one by one, and as soon as you get the answer, just make your noise. If you get it wrong, the other two have their chance. Besides the gods of the Olympus, classical mythology is full of characters and creatures. We're going after one of them.
Okay, so there is more than one.
She grabbed it.
They are said to be born of Ixion and Nephilim. They live in tribes. They are half human, half animal.
Centaurs?
Yes.
That
great.
is
Well done,
correct.
Patricia.
Well done.
Excellent.
She really wants to win.
Excellent.
Centaurs, half human, half horses. By the way, I can't remember having seen any female centaurs, so I guess how they would reproduce. It's just
Nymphs?
What? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Whatever.
It works.
Okay.
It works.
Yes.
All right.
Right. Okay.
The score is right now, you is 13, Mark 5, and Patricia 5 as well. So we're moving to the second clue challenge. Now we're after another creature.
This creature is a monster.
Mark.
Medusa.
That is correct.
Wow.
That is
Wow.
correct.
I was
Yeah.
like, and I need to check because I couldn't believe this.
Why didn't you do that from the very top of the
I don't know.
of the
I
show?
just had this feeling that Medusa had to come up, and it's
monster.
the only one I knew, so I was like, just go for it.
feeling.
It had to come out at some
Correct.
time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Somebody feed you the
Impressive.
Anyway, I don't know. I was going to say that she's one of the Gorgons. She's killed by the demigod Perseus. Her hair is made up of living snakes.
Yes.
And anyone looking at her face turns into
Stones?
stone.
So
Well
she's
done.
the fastest sculptor ever.
Yes.
I started
Exactly.
slow this week, my friend. Wait for the fast finish.
Well, this is getting very, very exciting because Luis is on the lead with 13 points, Mark is right after with 8 points, and Patricia is getting bigger and bigger with 5 points.
Yeah,
Not
it's starting
not
to get
physically, just with
interesting,
points.
Not
right?
physically, not physically. This is getting more challenging and really exciting because the one who gets it right will win 5 points. But if you get it wrong, 5 points will be taken from you. So answer at your own risk. And now we want you to guess a well-known Greek hero.
So this could get interesting because we could have a draw of 13 points. right?
Okay, that's
Lucky
getting
13.
very exciting. 13 points. Okay.
Okay, so here goes. This hero is, no surprise, a male hero.
Mark.
Hercules.
No.
I was going for 2 in a row.
Well, for you.
Yeah, I know. I had to go
one
again.
time. Just one time. but
And
nice.
he's a semi
So you have now you have 5 points less.
That's okay. I can deal with
Nice
that.
try, nice try.
Sorry.
Sorry.
For what he did, he was punished by the gods.
And Mark as well.
Zeus chained him to a rock and had an eagle.
Luis.
Sorry, I stopped you, but I think it's Prometheus.
Yes,
That's
Prometheus.
right.
Excellent.
We
Well
have
done.
a winner. Impressive. So,
Impressive.
Will I be
right.
back?
Where
You
you
will
going
take me
to
back even if I won?
Yeah, I'll be better next time, don't worry.
this is the nicest winner we've got. He's just worried for the other ones to be
Such a
mad at
nice
him.
person.
He just wants to come back. Don't
He wants to come back.
Don't
No,
be
and-
misled by his
I like
nice
I like the
disposition.
rivalry. Like
I
next
can
time
see
I'll
that.
be better.
I can see that. So let's go over the score. We've got Luis with 18 points as our today's winner.
Excellent.
Well done.
And
High five.
then
Well done.
in
Good
the
work.
second position, Patricia with her well-deserved 5 points. And at the end of our list, we've got Mark with only 3 points.
It's okay. I gave you
told at the
something
beginning
to laugh at least.
I
Come
told
on,
you
at least I
beginning
give you
of
a
the
laugh.
quiz that today was going to be tough for
It's
you.
very, very tough. Very tough.
Medusa was impressive, though.
Medusa was impressive.
Yeah, I had to go for the second time. Well, it wasn't worth
Hercules, not
Lightning
so much.
never strikes twice.
But yeah, anyway, Luis, did you enjoy today? Did you enjoy the quiz?
I think it was clear that I had a blast with all of you. So
It's very clear you're not coming back either. After the beating we took. No, I'm joking.
No,
You're welcome back whenever
and
you want.
I don't think it's up to him to decide, right?
Absolutely, for sure not up to Mark.
It's a joke.
Okay.
I don't like competition.
we need to
But
produce our TV show, so we
he's
need
our
to see
guest,
each
he's
other.
new, so we need to,
I
treat
know.
him well, so...
How about you, Mark and Patricia? Would you enjoy to play quizzes on the Mount of the Olympus with me for the whole eternity?
No. If I had a superpower that could close your mouth, that would be the best one ever.
No one would ever have
Very
that
nice.
superpower. And my relative would like to have that superpower, but it doesn't exist. Pity.
Okay, so thank you, Mark, thank you, Patricia, and of course, thank you, Luis, from Radio Televizio Cardedeu for coming and playing with us today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Okay, and we've run out of time. I hope you've enjoyed our show, and if you missed any sections, you can go and watch them on our website. We'll be back next week. Until then, check our profile on social networks and solve the guess word puzzle by Mario Serra, which is the best car to change religion. 7 letters. Until then, stay tuned, keep up your English, and have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.